Hi, I'm Kate Grunland, a senior at Wheaton Warrenville South High School. Thank you for joining us today. So to get us started, could you tell us your name and what position you're running for?
Sure, my name is Philip Hardy, and I'm running for village trustee for the village of Winfield.
Awesome. And how long have you lived in Winfield for?
Since 2006, approximately.
Thank you. My first question is, what qualifications and previous experiences prepared you to run for Winfield Village Trustee?
So I've been pretty active in Winfield civic life and politics for probably a decade now. Most of the time that I've lived there, I've done a bit of volunteer work, committee work, and so forth. I've been an appointed member of the village board for 2 years, and I'm a political scientist and college professor, so I have pretty good awareness of politics, policymaking, and just a genuine interest in trying to help Winfield be its best.
Very interesting. Thanks for sharing your background. What is the biggest challenge that you believe Winfield community faces?
Baseline challenge, I would say, is just maintaining a sense of civic etiquette in the way we interact with one another, the way we talk to one another, so that things don't become so heated and polarized and divisive that we have gridlock. And beyond that, I would say the big issue in town really has to do with development, tax rates, and what's known as the tax increment financing debate that's going on right now as we transition from one TIF to a second one. That's probably the biggest issue in town, and that relates to downtown development.
Thank you. Those are interesting points. So, what are your top 2 priorities if elected?
Not do anything during board meetings that embarrass myself or my family or my town, and then be a good colleague on the board, and then really just try to make rational, sound decisions that are in the best interest of the entire village. Specifically, I would like to see downtown Winfield get developed. We have a town center proposal that's been on the books now for a few years that has to do with a partnership with Central DuPage Hospital, which is in downtown Winfield. And so trying to see that through, to try to make progress on that is something that's important to me. And anything that would do that while also continuing to make the most of our sort of neighborly environment, our kind of small town history. I think those 2 things can work well together, and we can accomplish both.
Thank you. So you mentioned developing downtown Winfield. Can you please expand on some of the challenges that you might face in doing that?
Sure. So it's been really about a decade in the making, about 10 years or so of meetings, and I wasn't involved in all those meetings. Many of them I was not involved, but it's been a really long process of trying to negotiate an agreement with Central DuPage Hospital, which is part of Northwestern Medicine, to agree on revenue sharing that will allow Winfield to really get a downtown area that's more developed than it currently is. And because hospitals don't get taxed the way that other properties or businesses do, it's a really tricky dynamic. And so I lost my train of thought. Do you want to ask again?
No worries. No worries.
Ask that question again.
All right. Yeah. So you mentioned developing downtown Winfield.
Yeah. What are the challenges?
Yes. What are some challenges you face?
Sorry about that. So I would say that working through something that was kind of one of the first, if not the first, that we've seen in the entire state. This is a very rare agreement, and I know people worked very hard on that. And then trying to convince the public, some of whom in Winfield are skeptical of the power and size and influence of the hospital, trying to convince them that this proposal really is in the best interest of the village and is really what's best for us. So those are the biggest challenges. And then coming in midstream as a new member for the last 2 years, trying to contribute to something that was already in the works, and again, try to be neutral and try to be facts driven. That's really what I'm trying to do, to meet those challenges.
Amazing. And I'd like to thank you again for interviewing with us today. My final question is there anything else you'd like voters to know?
The importance of voting, the importance of being informed and being engaged, and recognizing that even in local contests, local elections, your vote matters, and being up to speed on what information is out there and what actual candidates vote for and what policies are being proposed. Those are very important, and so I'd like voters to know that your vote matters and you should be engaged.
Great, and that concludes our interview. Thank you again, and have an amazing day.